Okay guys, we're back. This is model 3 of lesson 4. So in this example, the two different items that we're talking about are fiction books and ebooks, and they actually already told us what letters that we should be using. And now we have to read some of the data and try to fill it in the best position and then answer some questions. Suppose 62% of the books are works of fiction, 47% are ebooks, and 14% are ebooks but not works of fiction. So as I'm looking at these three pieces of data, I'm actually going to start with this one. It says 14% are ebooks but not works of fiction. So that tells me that 0.14 is going to be recorded here. And I'm not going to have to do any sort of subtraction that I did in the first models, because this guy over here, right, where the 0.14 is, let me color that for you, implies that the book is an ebook but not a work of fiction, right? So this middle part is not accounted for in that figure right there. So I suppose I'd probably now go to this figure right here. It says 47% are ebooks, right? So just ebooks in general, 47% of them. So that means that the entire E circle has to equate to 47%, right? So 47% minus the 14%, right, would be 33%, or 0.33. I like to do the decimals instead of the percents, but that is completely up to you. If you have 14% here and 33% here, that's all great. Make sure you do have the percent symbols, though, next to those values, if that's what you choose. And then I'm going to move to the first figure given to us. It says 62% of the books are works of fiction. All right, so that means that the entire F circle has to equate to 62%, right? So again, the common mistake, as I mentioned before, is that people will put the 0.62 there and just leave it. Here's how you can sort of catch yourself in a mistake. If you actually added all three of these values up, let's just say, think about the highest probability you can have for any event. The highest probability you can have is 100%, or it equates to the whole number 1. And if you take these three numbers that we have currently, it's already over 1. You know, something is wrong. Realistically, it doesn't make any sense. So maybe that's one way you can catch yourself in mistake. Getting back to the 62% of books are works of fiction, that means the entire, again, F circle has to equate to 0.62. So we have to take this 0.62, subtract the middle value, and we really have 29% of the books are fiction and not ebooks, right? So we have 0.29, 0.33, 0.14, and we know the highest probability we can have is 1 or 100%. So I'm going to take the 0.29, add it to the 0.33, add it to the 0.14, and that's going to give us 0.76. So I want to figure out the percentage of books that are not fiction nor ebooks. So we're going to take the highest probability we have, which is 1, or again 100% if you're working in percents, and I'm going to subtract the 0.76. So that's going to give me 0.24, or 24% of the books are not fiction, nor are they ebooks. All right. Now letter A. we have to find the following probabilities of. The book is a work of fiction and available as an ebook. So there's that word "and" that pops up. That's your middle value. And again, these already represent probabilities. So 0.33 again, or if you are keeping them as percents, 33%, either one. Letter B, find the probability the book is neither a work of fiction nor available as an ebook, right? So that implies we don't want any of these numbers in the circle, right? We don't want them to be a work of fiction. We do not want them to be an ebook. And that would leave us the outside number. So that would be 0.24, or again, if you're working in percents, 24%. And then finally, letter C. Based on the percentages in the Venn diagram above, fill in the values in the table below. All right, so we were given the end total of books. There are 1,000 books in this bookstore. So we have to use these probability figures to figure out the quantity of books that each of these would translate to. So I think I'm going to start with this middle value right here. So 33% of the books are both fiction and ebook. So if you look in our two-way table here, that would be right here, right? Fiction and ebook. So we have to take the 0.33, multiply it by the total amount of books, and that'll give us the quantity. So there's 330. There's 330 books that are both fiction and ebook. Let's see here. I'm probably going to go to my outside number right here, the 0.24. So this would translate to the amount of books that are not fiction and also not ebook. And if you look at our two-way table, that would be right here, right? Not fiction and also not an ebook. So we're going to take the 0.24, we're going to multiply it by 1,000, and that should give us 240 right there, right? So 240 would be there. Okay. So let's see. So if I take this 0.29, now that represents that the book is fiction, but not an ebook, right? So fiction, but not an ebook, which is going to be right here. So we're going to take that 0.29, multiply it by 1,000, and that's going to give us 290, right? Now what we can do is we can find the total number of fiction books. So we'll take the 330, add the 290, and that's going to give us 620. Oh, then we could figure out this number here, right? We could take 1,000, subtract it from 620, and get us 380. So that's going to go here, right? And, oh, hey, so we could take the 380, subtract the 240, and get us 140. That would have to go here. And then total those guys up. So we have 330 plus 140. That's going to be 470. And then we have 290 and 240. That's going to give us 530, and then this column works out to 470 plus 530 is in fact 1,000. All right. And then let's go to Model 4. Okay, so in a class of 70 students, 30 are on the math team, 18 in the science club, and 8 are on both the math team and the science club. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to do M for math team, S for science club. They did give us the middle number. They said 8 are on both the math team and the science club. So there would be an 8 that goes right here. It says that 18 are in the science club, right? So that means, again, that the total S circle has to sum up to be 18. So we don't want to leave the 18 here because 8 and 18 is 26. We want to take the 18, subtract the middle number, and we're going to get a total of 10 students that are in the science club but are not on the math team, right? And likewise, there are 30 on the math team, but again, the 30 has to be the summation of the entire M circle. So we've got to take the 30, subtract the 8, and we're going to get 22 students are on the math team but not in science club. So letter A, how many students are on the math team or in the science club? So there's our word or that pops up again. Or implies that we're going to be adding all of the numbers inside the circles, all three of them. So 22 plus 8 plus 10. So it looks like that's going to be a total of 40 students. Letter B, what is the probability? Okay, probability now. We got to think fraction. What is the probability a randomly selected student is on the math team or in the science club, right? So there's our reminder of what the or symbol is. Now we already found the quantity of students that are on the math team or in the science club. We just have to take that 40 and we have to divide it by the total, which is 70, right? Didn't say we have to convert it to a decimal or a percent, so I'm just going to leave it the way it is, 40 over 70. And letter C, what is the probability a randomly selected student is on the math team and in the science club to the nearest 10th, right? So we see the word and. We're reminded about what the and symbol looks like. And again is the middle number. So there's 8 students that are on the math team and in the science club, but we want the probability of selecting one of those 8 students. So 8 over 70. This one had specific directions. It says, what is the probability to the nearest 10th? It doesn't say to a percent. So we're going to take the 8, we're going to divide it by 70, and rounding to the nearest 10th, that would be 0.1. Okay. Now, in these specific questions, we were not asked about how many students were not on the math team nor on the science or in the science club, but just for good measure, we would take these 3 numbers, 22, 8, and 10, add them up, and that would give us 40, and then we would subtract the 40 from the total number of students. So there were actually 30 students that were not on the math team nor in the science club. Again, we didn't really need that figure in any of these questions, but sometimes you do need it.